I don't understand. Like, this is bizarre.
No,
like, this is written in a document signed by Sinn Féin, submitted to the Commission.
In respect of what the baseline figure as outlined by the Venetian Partnership for Justice. Do you not understand
Sinn Féin is your party, is that correct?
There was something that Pascal Donoghue addressed during the week, which was Sinn Féin's call that job seekers should go up by €50. Now,
well, that's not Sinn Féin's call, just to be.
Well, he said, and I'm quoting, I want Sinn Féin to explain why, at a time where employers all over the country are crying out for workers, they believe there is a case to increase job seekers' payment by €50.
Sinn Féin's position isn't that we would increase. So last year in our pre-budget submission we sought an increase of €10 because the increase that the government did provide of €5 was gone by essentially the time that it came into place in terms of the higher cost.
Now hang on, the Minister says that in your submission to the Commission on Taxation and Welfare that's exactly what you put in for €50.
No, in our submission we outlined that. I think it was...
I just want to clarify this.
Sorry,
Philip has it. Clarification.
I can read it out to you, what exactly they said in their submission. I'll read it out to you, Matt, because I have it here. It's quite clear, and I'm not sure who wrote it in Sinn Féin, but there's a few little problems with it. For a single person who is living alone, that should be set at $2.51.82. They also say this should be a baseline for setting welfare rates in their own document. That should be a baseline.
Okay,
so the Minister was right.
No, so what our document outlined was the research that was outlined by the Venetian Partnership for Justice, which outlined that our social welfare rates as they currently stand are leaving people in poverty, and social protection is in place in order to prevent people from entering into poverty, and it's not working at the moment, but on an annual basis. So we make submissions in relation to all key
so that is your view. I mean,
place.
It is your view that it should be around the 250 rather than 208. The point that the Minister was making is that there's loads of jobs out there, and why should you be encouraging people to stay out of work when their employers are crying out for workers?
First of all, we're not encouraging people to for people not to enter the workforce if they're able to do so. Of course, that would be our ambition. Social protection covers an awful lot more than people who are job seekers. It also covers people who are on disability allowance, people who are on invalidity pension.
I don't understand. Like, this is bizarre. This is written in a document signed by Sinn Féin, submitted to the Commission
in respect of what the baseline figure as outlined by the Venetian Partnership for Justice. Do you not understand
Sinn Féin is your party, is that correct?
Do you not understand?
But you are supporting the proposal and saying it should be the baseline.
Yes,
with an incorrect figure, but you're saying it should be the baseline.
Philip,
you know what a baseline means? That means that the lowest level possible increase.
What you've done is you've taken one sentence out of a document that suits your own particular agenda, I have to say.
No agenda.
Yes, you have.
Reporting what you're proposing. How's that an agenda?
And what you should do in September when we launch our alternative budget, which we do every year.
We can't even believe that. If you can't even stand over this document, how can you stand over even your alternative budget?
Do you understand the difference between making a submission in relation to a long-term view in relation to how we deal with social protection and an annual proposal in relation to what rate should be in terms of taxation?
So you do stand over this one, though?
So what I'm saying is, in September, we will put forward our alternative budget, as we do every year, that will be fully costed by the Department of Finance, where we will outline how we will deal with the housing crisis, how we will deal with the deficiencies in our health services and other public issues, where we will outline what the tax rate should be for next year, and we will outline what the social protection rates will be for next year. And our view is,
so
of
what
course,
was published there you're saying was aspirational, and what you're going to be in September is practical and pragmatic. Northern Ireland social welfare rates much lower than they are here. Sinn Féin in government, kind of, if only the Assembly could be dragged together again in Stormont. How can they manage in Northern Ireland? Is it because of the NHS? Is it because of, school books provided? There are other things that they do in Northern Ireland that allow people to live on much lower social income assistance than they do in this part of the world.
Well, first of all, social welfare rates in the north are much too low. They're set, as you know.
You guys have power.
No, we don't in relation to social welfare rates, as you know. They're set in Westminster, and we don't. The Assembly doesn't have any devolved powers in relation to setting those rates, and if we did, we would seek to increase them because they're far too low.
Isn't that too easy a get out?
No, it's
for
not.
People who are politically active, you don't turn up, of course, in the chamber in Westminster for all very understandable reasons. No, that's fine. Yeah, there's a history there and a tradition there.
Phil, you're not in Assembly at the moment, are you?
Well, we are actually, and we're trying to get the Assembly back up and running, and I'm sure you know that it's the DUP. You're actually holding that back up.
It's basically whatever mechanisms you use. Banging on the door about social social welfare inadequacy should be one of them, even if you don't have devolved power.
And do you not realise we are doing that? Do you not realise that Conor Murphy,
I've never heard you guys in the Westminster Chamber ever say anything about it because you're not there.
Okay, well, we have the Minister for Finance in the outgoing Assembly, who is on a consistent basis and on a daily basis actually raising issues with the Treasury in London in respect of deficiencies in terms of public services and issues like social protection. And I invite you, Pat, maybe to invite Conor Murphy onto your show to outline the work that we're actually doing, because we want to see all Ireland harmonisation across all of these areas, and I think our record is fairly consistent on that.
Mary.
But again, I suppose it's a position without the consequence of funding it and the choices that have to be made by a government and by a finance minister in putting out the statements and the tax strategy. Their choices have to be made.
But that's the situation they find themselves in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't, as Matt has pointed out, they don't control the purse strings in that regard. They do in other regards, but not in that.
They do, and they could advocate more strongly. But the fact is that it is needed. We need to increase our social welfare. There is a commitment, and there is certainly all of the evidence is that is going to happen.
A question from Matt.
To what rate? You've just criticised me for not setting out what is going to be in our pre-budget submission. So what rate will Fine Gael increase the social protection rates to next year?
We are sitting in the place of the Minister for Finance, and that will be a decision that he will announce when he will very clearly specify.
All sorts of speculation.
I haven't stood over a document that has figures in it that you
I want to move on briefly just about one other topic.